SIP trunks for small businesses provide tremendous advantages. A, cost reductions. You've got other things like in terms of adding services, that can now be done typically within 24 to 48 hours.
Right.
So if you had 4 lines yesterday and all of a sudden your business booms and grows, well, we can add SIP trunks pretty simply,
right,
by just turning on additional channels for you. If you've got the back-end infrastructure with all your SIP licensing, that's the only other thing you got to do is add the SIP licensing for it, and you're good to go. Whereas before, we'd have to order the line. That line would take, maybe 5-10 business days for it to be installed, and then you have to call your technician to come out and install it into your phone system.
That's right.
So there is a big time advantage to SIP trunking and cost, because those analog lines have install fees with them and associated costs along with the technician programming and everything else. So SIP trunks are definitely a lot simpler on that aspect and a lot more cost effective.
What about PRIs?
Yeah, actually, why don't I step back, because I did forget a couple advantages which do roll into the PRI aspect of things as well with regards to SIP trunking, especially for small businesses, which are, with traditional phone lines, typically, you've got 4 lines, you've got one main number that's displayed when you call out, and you can make and receive those 4 calls.
That's right.
Well, with SIP trunking, the other advantages are, for small business, they can mimic or act as if they were like a larger company.
That's right.
In the sense that I can now have DIDs, which you can't do on analog lines. And those DIDs are direct inward dial numbers. So you'd have your main number listing, and then I can have my own personal phone number that somebody would call, and it'll ring directly down to my phone.
That's right.
So you can now, if you've got 20 people, but you only had maybe 8 phone lines before, provide them with DIDs, ultimately making it seem as if you were a larger company, because in the past, it's only been the larger companies that have had the ability to do that because they were installing PRIs, which is what our next conversation is going to be about.
What is the advantage of SIP trunking over a hosted PBX system?
Well, traditionally, if businesses have, or most businesses probably do have a premise-based phone system. Some of the advantages to the hosted are, especially with BroadConnect, I don't know about everybody else out there, but we can actually install our SIP trunks with what's called an ATA, which is basically a IP to analog converter.
That's right.
And basically mimic an analog CO line for you, or an analog